everybody, and welcome to our discussion on the Great Indian Election, which is probably the world's largest electoral brouhaha that has happened until now, with over 900 million registered electors who are going to choose the next Indian government. Today, we have with us an expert in Indian politics, Mr. Soundarajan, who has kindly joined us from Chennai. Welcome, Mr. Sangarajan, and welcome to our first episode. So, I'm not very sure how regular this episode is going to be, but we're definitely very committed to following up the Indian elections. So, welcome this evening, and welcome from Chennai. And let's start with the first question. Which are the most important states for the BJP in this election, and why?
Yeah, good be connecting and doing this episode with you, was. I think we go a long way. We've discussed India a lot and also geopolitics and international affairs and public policy across many geographies. It's important to bring in a fresh new perspective to our viewers and audience. So, important states, before I come to that, I just want to highlight the scale and enormity of an Indian election. So I'll take a minute to put the landscape so viewers understand, especially people who are not in India, to really understand the enormity of the Indian election. So total number of electorates is 970 million people. That is as per the last week's final confirmation from the Election Commission of India. So 969 voters. We expect about 650 to 700 million people to actually go and vote. So, and this is spread across about 1.4 million election booths. So, that is in terms of its wide spread. There are 4 million military, police, and paramilitary forces who's going to be ensuring free and fair elections. And there's going to be more than 1 million electoral officers who are going to be officiating, and about 8 million representatives from various political parties. So it's not about just getting votes. Each of the political parties should have, for million booths, they should have a key representative. It could be more or less, but every booth will have a representation from every political party. So 8 million booth agents representing various political parties, 1 million booths, and about 6 million resources and people, electoral officers being deployed. This is the greatest spectacle of democracy which you can, witness possibly in today's world. We also say we elect one America every year. About 300 million is American population. So if you just add a few state elections and some by-elections and corporate elections, corporation election, we elect one America every year. So that's the scale we are talking about. Now, coming on to the specific question you asked, was in terms of number of critical states, there are about 6, 7 states which are almost 50%. We have about 28 states and union territories. So 6 states which contributes 50% of the number of seats in parliament, which is 543. So 50% comes from Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. I think these 6 states contribute about 50%. So the battle is going to be fiercely fought, and people put everything behind to win those big states. That's going to be a very hotly contested battle. And obviously, Uttar Pradesh has 80 seats, which is almost like 20% of the total number of seats in Indian Parliament. Bihar, West Bengal are all very, very large states, large geographies, and very complex demography and the terrain. So in all the big states, except of course in Tamil Nadu, all the other 5 states, the election's going to be in about 5 phases. And Uttar Pradesh got 7 phases. So Tamil Nadu is finishing off on one day. But all the other 5 states, the election is going to be in 5 phases. So that's the landscape. We are trying to develop some insights over our discussion today.
If I can jump in directly and ask you a question to what you mentioned just now, West Bengal, how important is it as a state for the BJP, and how does the BJP expect to fare in West Bengal given Mamta's obvious domination?
Yes, West Bengal has a tradition of having one party rule over many decades. So we had the left wing run West Bengal for almost 27, close to 30 years. And before the left parties took control, it was the Congress. Since independence, they had a long reign of 30 years. So after Mamta Di came in, she's almost won 3 terms. So she's now going to be contesting for the state elections next year for her fourth consecutive terms. So that is a general nature of West Bengal. But BJP has been trying to uh, penetrate West Bengal. A lot of effort and work has got inside. And West Bengal, the way the voting population is spread, BJP already has about 20% plus vote share. But till you reach 30%, you're not going to translate into winning seats. So until 20% they took about 15 years. And the last 10 has is actually gone beyond 15 years. So as you get closer, maybe 27 to 30% is going to take another 5 years and one more election. That's the nature of West Bengal. And West Bengal is also very high on regional sentiment. I think the Bengali pride and the federal ecosystem is very conscious about the fact that Bengal is for Bengalis to rule, and generally national parties are treated like they are non-Bengalis. So that's a very strong sentiment. So it is going to be a very very interesting elections. There are high decibel, and Mamta is also as a personality is very vocal, very aggressive, and for her it is a question also for her survival, because if she loses, going by the Bengal's tradition, BJP is going to rule for 20 years. So by then her political career is almost done. So she's not going to let that go. And let's see, it's an interesting fight to go on. I think right now Bengal is on equal footing. I think both Mamta Banerjee's party and BJP, I would say the vote share is, I don't know, maybe 35% each, 30% each, or something like that. But there is a large percentage of undecided voters, and both of them are trying to hit each other, and there is a lot of negative campaign. And the election rhetoric has been how the other guy is bad more than how good I am. So that's the nature of politics, I guess, everywhere in the world.
So tell me something. How is the BJP structuring its candidates? They're dropping some of the old MPs. Several veteran leaders have declared that they will not be contesting these elections. A very nice way of bowing out and keeping their respect and their self respect in place. Critics are saying that it is not a Congress Mukt Bharat that the BJP is fighting for. It's a BJP Mukt Bharat because all the Congressites will have moved over to the BJP and taken it over. So, what do you have to say about this?
I think this is, it keeps happening, people shifting sides, and people going from party to another party to the third party happens all the time. I think it's human nature. It's like a corporate career. So very rarely you'll find somebody join a company and retire there. And in fact, it's considered very backward and unfashionable if you end up staying in a company for such a long time. But the nature of the business, and so is politics. Now, the main question of how BJP changes its candidates. I think BJP has amongst the Indian parties, and I'm sure from amongst the many large countries, I think BJP's got one of the most sophisticated feedback system pretty much to a block level. So, any population up to 100,000, a town or a village. So BJP has its feedback mechanism right down there. I think that's what has been bringing them the success. The election machinery goes down to every 100,000 population on an electorate of 970 million. So that's one of the success in terms of their structure. They're able to reach out. They get direct feedback from the performance of the elected member, and they measure on some amongst the various other performances. They measure how much time he spent and how many people he has visited and how many of them he's taken feedback from, and how well he's been able to build a team to work with him, and how well he's leveled up the next level of leadership. So, and they do it continuously. It's not during election time. They do it pretty much all through the year, all through the 5 years for a tenure. So that gives them a very almost a real time feedback about each of their candidates. So one of the ways to find anti-incumbency is to change the profile, give a chance to a next level leader. Invariably, the guys who've been dropped are generally guys who are, with of course exceptions, are generally people who have older, which gets replaced by younger people. It is a problem that nobody wants to give their position and let the new generation come in. I think, except for probably the sports industry, where you know you don't stand a chance if you're in your 30s to be playing at an international level. But politics, people hang on to it. Nobody wants to hang their boots. But BJP is very ruthless. If somebody is exceptionally good, of course, there are some great exception. Prime Minister Modi is, well into the mid 50s, mid 70s, but they have a very ruthless mechanism. So I think out of 545 seats, 100 are yet to be announced. Out of 412 seats they've announced so far, they've replaced 100 odd people who's not been repeated, and new faces have been brought in.
Excellent. But tell me something. You're down south, and the BJP does not control any of the southern states at the moment in time. It lost Karnataka very recently, and I think Congress has only Karnataka and Telangana at the moment in time. So, how do you see the BJP faring down south?
I think there's a whole media narrative which the opposition is trying to create after um, midterm elections, which 5 states BJP swept some of the top 3 states from the northern part of India. So it was a not so true narrative which was built by opposition member, but somehow that got traction, and suddenly people beginning to think that BJP is not a strong party in the south. I think if you look at Lok Sabha elections, I think BJP got 80% of the seats from Karnataka. They got 30% of the seats in Telangana. So that's like a very strong position in 2 important states. So, but however, the state elections, Congress edged past them. So, but having said that, just like Bengal, where there's a lot of regional sentiment, first of all, Bengali is not a national language. It's only spoken by about 12% of the population. And Tamil Nadu, similarly, which 7% of the population, they don't speak the national language. It's a third language for them. So they speak Tamil, English, and third language becomes Hindi. So Karnataka is again unique. They have a very different script, which is Kannada, and they're about 4% of the population, but they speak a different language. So language becomes different, whereas national leaders can use Hindi and pretty much cover the rest of the country. But when it comes to South and Bengal, it becomes a limitation even for Modi. I mean, you can still speak Hindi and communicate and try to get away and use a translator, but they will obviously feel that you are not one of them, you're an outsider. So that has been a problem for all national parties. It's not just BJP. Even Congress has faced that. So that's why Congress has to develop strong local leadership, and then slowly uh, de-risk the national leadership coming there and campaigning, etc. So it is disadvantage from a one nation with a homogeneous language and culture. So India, by its nature, is very, very heterogenic. So that's the demographic problem of the South. But having said that, just like Bengal, BJP is slowly trying to regionalize themselves and trying to create local leadership and then trying to create a whole ideology of BJP's nationalistic views into very acceptable local uh, language and local narrative and adopt more of local issues, etc., etc. So I think it's you will see some fruits of those efforts. Definitely, BJP is expected to make a big mark. Probably they're likely to win 25% of the seats from Tamil Nadu this time, and probably they will do little better than 30% of the seats in Telangana and Kerala also. Kerala BJP has never won a single member. There again, we expect them to at least have make a mark of 10 to 15%. So I think it should be interesting to see. The work is on. They're aware of the issues and the limitations. But if somebody could really pull this off, it's just the BJP machinery is so much more effective.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sandarajan, for your time today. As you see, this is our first episode of hopefully several where we'll be following Indian politics, Indian elections, and its effects on the neighborhood and the world. For now, it's extremely entertaining to see how the current Prime Minister Modi will win his next term, and to see whether he actually achieves his target of 400 seats. Hope to join you very soon again, and thank you again for your time. And join us next week for another episode on the Great Indian Election. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.